Everybody out there, hello, good evening. Welcome to the Pandemic Proof Singer Series. I'm Danielle Tucker. I'm a singer, a vocal coach, and one of the lead singers of the Mighty Untouchables band. I'm also the creator of a new online digital course called I'm With the Band. It's just a fun online course for lead singers. So if you're kind of wondering how to advance your career during an unprecedented worldwide crisis, you're in the right place. And we're here to spread encouragement and not germs. So everybody tune in. We're ready to talk. Whether you're an established artist or a newbie, we'll have a lot of good stuff to hand to you tonight. And please feel free to ask questions or just say hi in the comments. And here we go. I'm going to introduce my guest tonight. With me, I have Mr. Darryl Walker. He is a singer, yes, saxophone player here in San Diego, California. He specializes in R&B, pop, blues, jazz. He pretty much does it all. And I can just say from personal experience working with him, his work is stunning. If anybody caught the teaser clip that I put online, his voice is just amazing. You've got to check out his stuff. He has two new singles, Need You in My Life, and it's an Al Jarreau, Hiram Bullock cover. Oh, and an Al Jarreau and Hiram Bullock cover of You Send Me. And that was performed live at the Laguna Festival of the Arts. And that's soon to be released. It's not released yet, right?
Not yet. Soon.
Okay.
It's going to be coming out on Polyphemus Records of the UK.
Awesome. Well, I'll look forward to that. But you do it all. You play some incredible venues, private events, premier jazz events, and you're in on great recording sessions, doing leads and backgrounds, horn parts. You are even bilingual, and you've had
Point.
what's that?
To a point.
To a point. Okay. Well, good enough that you caught the attention of the world renowned Latin artist Luis Miguel. You've recorded some of his guide tracks in pre production. So I would say that you got to know what you're doing a little bit, I would think. But anyway, you've also been featured as a backup vocalist on The Late Late Show. You've done all kinds of really, really great session work with big companies like Dole, Pringles, Toyota, Honey Nut Cheerios, which I like a lot. And you're great. You're great in the studio. I recently had the pleasure of working with you in the studio with Rebecca Jade, and we had a great time.
That was so much fun.
It was so much fun. So welcome, Darryl Walker.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How are you? What have you been up to since this quarantine situation we're in?
Well, in order of the events taking place chronologically, let's see. Learning how to deal with the angst of not being able to perform. That's one thing. Healing from an accident, a motorcycle accident, which was just a freak thing, no fault in any direction, but just one of those things that happened. And reaching out and flexing, as I like to say, the international side of what I do. I collaborate internationally, mostly with people in the UK. One Italian friend of mine, Roberto Tola.
Uh-oh, we're freezing. We're having a few little technical difficulties tonight with our connection, so I am going to stall because Darryl is probably going to try to reconnect. So in the meantime, while he is reconnecting, I'm going to say hello. We got a few people out there tonight. Hey, Darrell Anthony, how are you doing? Good to see you out there watching. Appreciate you being there with us. Are you there, Darryl?
Yes.
Oh, okay, you're back. Okay, so you were just telling me about your collaboration with your Italian friend.
Oh yeah, Roberto Tola.
Yes.
He's an amazing guitarist in Italy that he lives on the island of Sardinia, so he's in paradise every day.
Wow.
But we've done a few recordings together virtually, and we did them. He sent me his materials, and then I went over to my friend Tom Zink's place, the guy I told you about, did the video and stuff for the Al Jarreau project.
Yeah.
And he tracked my vocals, and then we sent them over. and Roberto laid the man real well. And it's the first one I did was called Slow Motion with him.
Mm-hmm.
The new one, I honestly forgot the title because it's so recent, and I've done a few other things since then. So
Yeah.
anyway, look at Roberto Tolo's music, and you'll see me on that stuff. But just trying to make things make sense during this crazy time, trying to support other artists. And it's funny you bring up Darryl, because as soon as I sat in with you guys, I made a point to befriend him, because there's stuff that sometimes I can't do that I love to pass off to people that I trust, that I know have the ability to excel and do a great job.
Yes.
And in fact, I did send him on his way, but he was already busy. But I believe in networking. You know, I'm one of those people that I believe there's enough for everyone in this business to succeed, as long as they're hardworking, talented, and actually have the goods. I don't skimp when it comes to recommending people or trying to make the community grow in terms of how many talented people we can stuff into it.
Yeah.
It's exciting to watch other people blossom just as much as it is to be on your own journey and watch things happen, you know.
Yeah, that's smart. I totally agree too. That's a good mindset to have around, especially also finding those other people like in your same sphere of work that you can count on and trust, to refer to other people. That is important. You do have to vet people. I wouldn't just like
Oh,
recommend because like, oh, I heard this person is good, because you just never know what
it's the
somebody's going
truth.
to do. Yeah.
It's the
But
truth.
when you find those people that you can trust, you just got to share the love and just, be really grateful that you have somebody that can stand in for you, because
Oh,
stuff
absolutely.
happens. Stuff
Sure.
happens sometimes.
And I didn't know he was playing piano. When he put up that video of him, I went, "What? Oh,
Yeah,
wait a minute, wait a minute! I have to boost. I have to date. This has to go out. People, check out my new friend."
I know.
I was
He's
like,
great.
"Man, that is just amazing." You know,
Yeah.
he should
He's
really.
very humble about his skills too, but I can say for probably the past 2 or 3 years, he's the type where like in the green room when we're waiting, he's practicing chords and,
But
and
see,
just working it all the time.
that's what it takes.
Yeah.
People don't. People are not in this industry don't understand really a lot of times what it takes to do this. It's not. You know, one person once told me, "Oh well, you know, you guys are lucky. You get to do what you love, and you're on a constant party all the time."
All the time. All the
I'm
time.
sorry, but that's not true. There's so much work that goes in before and after
Yeah.
the performance, the actual performance. The performance is the payoff.
Yeah.
That load in, setup, sound checking, making everything perfect. And now that's all providing that you've done all the work ahead of time with the rehearsals and knowing the material and getting everything tight that way. Then you come to the actual show and there's all this other work to do, the performance and the post. And the post is the one that kills you, because you're standing there. In my case, I'm dealing with two wireless systems, one for my vocals, one for my horn. I got maybe one or more horns to set up or tear down, to put away. And I'm meticulous about it because I don't like leaving things. So it takes me a while. I don't want to leave or give away anything, as I like to say.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of work involved with doing this, and like I say, the performance is a payoff. So anyone that thinks it's just some party or when are you going to get a real job? I heard a friend of mine's dad say that to him one time.
Yeah.
You just got a master's degree in music and your father's asking you when are you going to get a real job?
Oh,
This
burn.
is a real job.
Yeah.
It's more real than a real job, because it's all on you. You get out of it what you put into it.
That's very, very true. Yeah, the pay grade definitely kind of coincides with the amount of work that you've put into it. I mean, I've done it all from like, bar gigs, which are absolutely fun. They're typically not high paying, but they are a lot of fun, and all gigs really are fun, to a certain
Yeah.
degree. But yeah, definitely it gets a little um, less social and um, party time as you get into them. Yeah, and Darrell thanks you for the kind words.
No,
Um,
he's just amazing.
yeah, he is.
You can't know too many people in this industry. You never know who you're going to wind up working with or who's going to recommend. You might not even know that they recommended you. It'll just happen. And then someone will say, "Oh yeah, oh, so-and-so told me about you." Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, that's how I came to know you, because um, Leonard Tucker worked in the Mighty Untouchables for years.
Love him.
Yeah, and he's amazing. I mean, he's
Great
incredible.
human being. Great human being.
Great human, great vocalist.
Yes.
And there were occasions when he was touring with another group while he was with us as well,
Mhm.
and you were always at the very top of his list, and recommended you all the time. It wasn't often, but when we needed somebody, when Darrell was not available, your name came to mind first, so I got to meet
That's
you,
so
and
cool.
that's how it works.
That's so cool. And anytime I can return the favor, I will,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's awesome. Well, Darryl, tell me about this Al Jarreau project that you have going on. I listened to it today and it's incredible.
Oh, thank you so much. You know what? It's funny. That project was a labor of love that began about 30 years ago. I mean, I have to be honest. That's about how long ago I conceived actually doing something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until 2 years ago that I was actually able to pull it off financially and, with the wherewithal, everything I needed to go on to make it happen. So basically, just before he died, unfortunately, I had been thinking about doing some sort of thing like this. But then when he actually passed, it became even more important for me because he was one of those silent mentors who didn't realize he was a mentor to me. During my military time in Germany, I stayed in my barracks and I spent a lot of time studying his music and enjoying it, and didn't realize that through osmosis, I was just taking on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Jay Graydon compositions that the co-writing that they did together. He wrote with so many people: George Duke, Nathan East, who was at one time his live bass player for many years. Yeah. And then he did a lot of work with another new friend of mine named Chris Walker. And Chris Walker is a force to be reckoned with, an incredible vocalist, incredible bass player. He does kind of a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. But he's got this project right here. You can see that. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
He did an amazing job with these songs. He has Gerald Albright on it, Regina Bell, Randy Brecker, Rick Braun, Will Downing, Nathan, David Foster's on it, Bob James. Just the who's who of the music world helped him to pull this off. And inside,
what does that say?
Can you see it? It's Al Jarreau and his picture together.
Oh yes, yeah.
Well, they had a very personal relationship. He wasn't just a side man, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Al Jarreau took him on as like another son. Mm-hmm. So, him completing this project was real important because he was spiritually driven to do this. And we became friends, and he found out that I was a big fan and I was doing this. And he encouraged, So fast forward, we get the guys together, people that I've grown up with, and everyone on that stage that you saw, with the exception of one singer, I have known for a long time and I've worked with in different situations. So I knew, okay, this wasn't hard. Choosing the people to do it wasn't difficult. But what was difficult is making sure the quality level was there so that the songs, we paid homage to the songs and did so with integrity. I didn't want the music to come out sounding like some guy who's up there, putting his own personality into somebody else's stuff to the point of it not being recognizable. Mm-hmm. I don't like that, Yeah. But that's just my own personal thing. But I didn't want to try to be him, but I did want to represent his material as accurately as possible, because it's no small feat to take on Al Jarreau music. It's pretty intense. It's pretty intense, Even I found more through doing it that it was way more intense than I even thought it was, because the first set I ever did, I think, wound up to be a 90-minute show because that's the time I had to fill. So I had to sing about 20 songs back to back.
Wow.
And that kind of stuff for 20 songs is challenging. I was exhausted by the end of the show. I didn't even touch my saxophone. I'm like, the hell with that. I'm like, this is hard enough. I'm not doing that too. No, but it was just something I always wanted to do, that I had the perfect venue, the perfect timing. Everything was just like the planets had aligned. God said, okay, young man, go forth and prosper. And everyone fell in line. Everyone in the band is really excited about doing that because they love that music. So, no one has to conjure up anything like, okay, here we go. We got to do this. They're all in it to win it because they really want to do it. And so that's why it came off the way it did. We did 2 rehearsals. I gave everyone stuff so that they could work on their own, and they came ready, man. They just, it blew me away. The first rehearsal, I was just blown away because I didn't have to lead, really. I was just the face of it because they were all ready to go. So all I had to do is just say, okay, well, here's a set list. Here's a sheet, a gig sheet with all the information on it, and I'll see you there. And it just turned out to be this incredible experience.
Wow, that's great. And you all did it very, very well. I mean, it's a really, really great tribute. What are your plans for that once we're back doing things live?
I've got some theater interest that's starting to develop. The Barclay in Orange County is toying with the idea. Hopefully they go for it. I've done it at the Festival of the Arts, which is great. Thank you, Susan Davis. That's kind of the market that I really think would fit this kind of thing because it's very specific. It's one of those things that the people that love his music are ardent listeners. They're not people that are going to sit around and talk and be boisterous, and they're going to be focused. And that's what I noticed at the Laguna Festival of the Arts when we did it out, in that environment, which is primarily outdoors, but it's a new multi-million-dollar facility that they put together. And I couldn't count how many people were there. I know there were over 800, maybe 1,000. And it was packed. It was just standing room only, and they loved it. They were into it. Every song, some people were mouthing the words, just, singing along or whatever. It was just an amazing experience. And I thought, wow, okay, let's keep doing this because people really like this. Yeah. But I have to put it in venues like that because otherwise I am definitely in the red. I'm not doing well with it financially.
Big band.
It is. Big band of top people, they're great people. So
yeah. Well, that's great. It's so rewarding when you can do justice to, such a great artist. And, being a cover artist it's a tricky thing. And I know that my opinion on this is very, very debatable, but I always feel like, and I think you were alluding to this too, that when you do cover someone else's music, I think 9 times out of 10, the closer you can get to honoring their, original recording or, representation of it, the better. And the better received it usually is. And I guess that does depend from crowd to crowd. But I always feel like if you are going to cover somebody and steer away from what the original artist did, you really need to be doing something special and different with it, and not just, I don't know.
No, I agree. There's a couple of schools of thought that I have. One is if you're going to be a quote tribute unquote group where you use the word tribute in your thing, that kind of alludes to you're going to come out there with a looking like the person, acting like the person, trying to cop their mannerisms and whatever. And I'm not into that. I don't want to be a knockoff, the thing that looks like him, acts like him. No, I just want to do that music and do it with integrity. Yeah. So that's pretty much where I come from. But hey, if there are people out there that they're trying to be like, they take a band and they do everything down to the costuming and the hairstyles and whatever, that's cool too. If they can pull that off and do it well, then I'm okay with that. But it just doesn't work for me. I have to be, I have to do it the way I do it. But the reception has been incredible. I'm shocked at how many people like that. And then locally in Temecula, at the old Temecula Theater there, I did a smaller version of that. I brought 6 people, including myself, and we did a more esoteric set list of Jarreau stuff that wasn't focused on the pop stuff, more on the jazzy things like Sophisticated Lady and all these cool things where he gets to scat and real Jarreau-ish. Cold Duck is one song we did. That was received just as well, in smaller band. But, it just depends on what the calling is. If they want the big thing, they can have the big thing. If they want the smaller one, they can have that, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you to get it back out in circulation because it's so good. It just needs to be heard. It really, really
Thank you
does.
so
Yeah.
much. That's the goal. You know, when we
Yeah.
artist types get out there and do something, we want to do it well. We want it to be received, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully get something out of it that we can be proud of. And
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Definitely. So, as we mentioned at the beginning, you do way more than singing. You're also a sax player. What came first for you? Was it singing or sax playing?
Singing. Yeah, I've been
Singing.
singing since I was 2 years old, and I'm
Yeah.
56 now, so that's a little while.
A little while. A minute.
That's a minute. The horn came about in the 8th grade, 1978. I saw a kid, and I was in a music appreciation class, and we
Okay.
were playing flutophones,
Ah, yes.
you know. And I looked across the hall, and those rooms were the band rooms with the marching band for the junior high school. And I saw these kids filing in, and one of them, this little skinny wiry kid, had this big tenor saxophone around his neck. And I went, "Whoa, that's cool! I want to do that." And I went home, and told my mom I want to do that, and she said, "Well, your uncle has a saxophone. Do you really want to play?" And I said, "Yes." And so she talked to him, and he sent it over, and I took a year of lessons with this incredible guy, Gary Bell. I mean, I don't know if he's still around, but he was one of those guys that taught with old school style. He said, "Don't even touch the horn. Just take this mouthpiece and go home."
Hmm.
And, over the next few weeks, what we're going to concentrate on is sound, tone, quality. He said, "It doesn't matter if you play 10 million notes, if you're the toughest guy on the block with the scales and the whatever." He said, "If you don't have a good sound, nobody wants to listen."
Mm-hmm.
So he was so right. And he made me go home, and I was driving people crazy. They thought I was like a hunter out there with a duck call. But I practiced and practiced and brought it back. And then we started working on the horn. Then my folks couldn't afford it anymore. So I joined the marching band at school, the
Mm-hmm.
junior high band, and then learned more there through the instruction of the director. And then once I got into high school, did the same thing for a couple of years, and then left, went to the military after I graduated, took the horn with me to Germany, and just kept playing. I didn't finish any formal schooling or training after that. That was the end of it. The rest of it was just self-taught.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved it so much that I was driven to study people and to try to have a nice, recognizable sound of my own. And thank God for those early days, because I wouldn't have thought that, the tone and the sound of the instrument was so important, but it is.
Yeah. I have so much admiration for musicians that have, more than one discipline. I mean, it's hard enough to become really, really great at one thing in music, but to be good at two and to also market yourself in both, avenues because um if I'm not correct here, I would imagine people call on you equally as a singer and as a sax player.
They do now, but there was a time where it was just about the horn.
Yeah.
They didn't even know I sang. They had no idea. No one even in high school, no one. And it was only because in my ridiculous mind, I thought everyone can do this. What's the big deal with that? Everyone sings. But see, this dear friend of mine once told me, "See, dude, there's a difference between singing and singing."
Right.
He said, "You were given the singing gift." He said, "Not the singing gift. So do
No,
the
you
singing."
sang, yeah.
He told me to do the singing thing. I said, "Okay, I'll do the singing thing." So I just started doing that, put myself out there as a singer as well. And it wound up being, nowadays, it's more that than the other.
Okay.
It's weird. It started one way, and now it's completely flopped,
Hmm.
flip-flop to the other side. So
How did you start working professionally?
I joined a band in the 80s known as Breezin' in Orange County. They're still together, still amazing and great guys. And I think at the same time I was working in aerospace, and a guy that worked with me there by the name of Luis Santiago, he heard me live, and he approached me and said, "You know something, man? I'm getting ready to sign this deal and I want you in my band.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at him and, oh, yeah, right. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
sure. You know, but as it turns out, he was telling the truth. And I joined that band, and the name of that band was Identity Crisis. And at the time, it was a Spanish lyric and English lyric R&B group. So it was kind of both.
Okay.
And staff with some really, really badass dudes.
Yeah.
And it was out around the same time that Color Me Bad was all popular.
Oh yeah.
So we released a project on Tabu Records with Motown as a distributor. No, wait, at first it was A&M Records distributing. And then we wound up at Motown, and that's the group didn't go anywhere after that. But while we were with A&M and Tabu, we got a lot of interest in the video stuff we did. We did a Southwestern United States tour, and people were all into it. We got on a couple of shows that Selena was on and got a chance to meet her
Wow.
family. We were even trying to put the tour together with them, but that didn't work out. But just working that whole thing, and then from that, springboarding onto other projects from all the connections that are being made. The networking thing again
Mm-hmm.
came into play. But I would have to say it all started in the clubs, as you were saying. The club circuit, playing in Orange County for many years and being recognized by all these other musicians and referrals and such. And then after the Motown days, I got out of the recording industry because I just had a bad taste after that. I didn't want anything to do with crooked producers and general managers of record companies or A&R people or any of that. I didn't want anything to do with it. But the love for live performance was still so strong that I
Mm-hmm.
continued even after that stuff fell through, and they basically shelved us. They didn't really know what to do with that band.
Yeah.
It was a little ahead of its time, but the music is incredible. It really is. The name of the project was The Spanish Afro, and great stuff, really
Yeah.
great. But the two guys that put that together, Christopher Troy in LA and Zach Harmon in LA as well, incredible producers. That their first group was Troop. They
Mm-hmm.
got them started. They wrote for the Whispers. They wrote for Karen White, Nona Gay, just a whole list of people. And I'm still working with Chris, in fact, on stuff for my Gino.
Mm-hmm.
And do some stuff for him.
Oh.
But just perpetuating that whole networking thing, and all these years went by, and then I get this call from Greg Adams, of all people, who is the architect of the Tower of Power sound,
Mm-hmm.
the guy who did all the horn arrangements for them for 25 years, and he was looking for a singer, and he didn't know I played horn though, so he hired me to sing on one project, on one, I think it was 2 songs. He had 3 other singers on the album, and he wanted another. He was basically trying to set up a bench so that if someone said they couldn't do
Yeah.
something, and
Okay.
I can understand, because he he calls singers the fifth sex or whatever, because he's had a lot of bad luck with them,
Yeah.
but it was really cool that he called, because I've always dug what he's done, and that
Mm-hmm.
group TOP is just still crazy popular,
Yes.
and his work is impeccable. All those arrangements, those horns. So it was a thrill, and it's still a thrill. I'm still in that band after 11 years. I love going out with them. But all these things we're talking about are all one after another, of just meeting people, talking to other people,
Mm-hmm.
networking, and it's kind of interesting how it's all
Yeah.
unfolded.
I know. I love hearing these stories because it's so fascinating to hear how how a story begins and how it unfolds, and you never see what's down at the end of the road when you get started. And it's you mentioned that you at one point you decided you wanted to get out of the big label business, and it's so funny how many people you meet that feel the same way. And I think when you're talking to young artists, that this is just not something that they could possibly understand or comprehend when you're coming into the business. And naturally, a lot of, fresh young up and comers and everything are shooting for that goal, which is awesome. I mean, it's great. It's something that can really get the ball rolling for you. But it's hard for them to even conceive at one point that you would have a change of heart about the direction you want to take your music business in. And it's certainly, and you don't know this aspect of it either, is by that time, it's not that you're, it's not a failure or of any sort, but you discover that there are so many other channels in the music business that you can
Oh
go
man,
down
yeah.
that can be way more gratifying, way better paying, way way more, you could create a lot more success and satisfaction at them, but that just isn't something that you can really even tell
It's an
a young
experiential thing.
singer.
It's an experiential thing. You have to first you have to consider the maturity of who it is you're talking to,
Right.
level of experience they already have, and then you have to realize at a certain point that there's only so much you can say that's going to register, because the rest of it they have to experience. They have to go into this thing and go through the same things to find out where they fit and to find out what works and doesn't work for them. Because
Mm-hmm.
I could say whatever I want and say, yeah, well, you should do this, do this, do this, do that. But as we all know, as artists, there's no single roadmap to reaching any level in this business, whatever that is. And
Yeah,
even as we're speaking, it's all being redefined anyway. Now we
it
have
is right now.
streaming and all these different things, and this cool Zoom thing we're doing, and people are doing, like I mentioned earlier, virtual sessions. Like they'll get their parts, they'll finish their parts and email them off to someone who can just lay them into a track, and there you go. They never even stepped foot inside a studio, but
Yeah.
um, it's just it's interesting. My thing is when I meet people that are asking about how I got started, that are interested in getting started, especially younger folks, I try to key the conversation on the topics of professionalism, reliability, preparedness, um, knowing your strengths and your weaknesses,
Mm-hmm.
not trying to take on something that you just weren't cut out to do. It's really important to know those things, and then to encourage them at the final, in the final analysis. At the end of the day, they're going to be encouraged by me to do it. Go
Yeah.
all in, be all in, and do it. But do it knowing that you should do this first before you get to the point of actually being offered a show or a session. Please be as prepared as you can. Please be as professional as you can. Please understand that you can't be out partying all night before you go work. Please understand that you need to know your material before you walk in, because they're not going to stand around and be wasting money and watching the clock tick while you're trying to figure it out. You
Yeah.
should know it before you get there. And then while you're there, be mindful of other people's time.
Yeah.
Get it done. Don't keep going over and over and over and over. Be ready,
Mm-hmm.
In terms of live shows, show up dressed appropriately. If it's a corporate thing that you're doing, find out what the manner of dress is. Find out the theme of the event. Find out what the set list is. Know your parts. Know the things you're responsible for, and be prepared to back up somebody else on what they're doing. So don't just focus on only your little piece. You take a broad, big picture view of it all. And then when you get there, treat other people with respect. Don't be one of those stage hogs that wants to take every solo, wants to play longer than the 8 bars that you're given,
Right.
that wants to sing everybody else's songs and be louder than everybody. All those ridiculous mistakes that inexperienced people make or egomaniacs make. I try to encourage people to be professional about it. Treat it like the gift that it is. Because every show you get, whether it's in a bar, whether it's on a big stage, whether it's no matter where it is in the world, it is an opportunity to showcase. It's an opportunity to share your gifts. So treat it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the people around you are there to support you when you're shining. But when you're not shining, it's your job to step back and support them,
Yes.
so that it's a collective. Because without the whole thing working together, it doesn't work anyway.
Yep. Oh my gosh. You're speaking my love language as a vocal coach, because these are the type of things that I harp on so much, because working on your voice, working on your craft is obviously critically important, but there are all of these underlying skills that aren't talked about a lot, but I personally see as the key to people's success. So when we got quarantined And I was trying to decide, well, what am I going to work on creatively? What am I really driven to do? My heart really poured into creating these courses on teaching singers what these soft skills are, and what are, they're not secrets, they're actually very common sense things, but they're things that we don't really think of.
Right.
And we easily forget, and we find ourselves being called for a gig but then never being called back again, and wondering why didn't they ever call me again? And if you can kind of put a finger on these things, it'll really, really help you out. So I wrote one course called I'm with the Band, Do's and Don'ts from a Lead Singer. So I've gotten to
I want to check that out.
yes, I've gotten to present the class live a couple of times, but I've just put it into a digital course now. But
Oh,
I love
nice.
that you said that, because I really do believe that, Darryl, that these just developing those business skills, those networking skills, soft
Oh,
skills,
man.
everything,
It's
everything.
so important. It really,
Mhm.
especially now, there was a time where you could put out a project, and if you had all your ducks in a row, you had your BMI account or your ASCAP account set up, and you had some promotion going on, radio promotion, you could see some money trickling in from
Mhm.
royalties and whatever. But now with things like Spotify and Pandora and this kind of crap, you basically, they're giving your intellectual property away and paying you 0.43000 cents per spin.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, calculate that. So there was a time where I was not very happy with that, and I just said, you know what, I'm not going to go in the studio and spend $20,000 I can't recoup.
Mhm.
Where's the impetus to do that when I know what they're doing out there? So I just try to find the other ways, like getting into sync licensing and dealing with song supervisors, people that
Yeah.
select music for videos and movies and TV and all that kind of stuff. I'm investigating that now because that's a very lucrative thing if you are chosen, but you have to continually provide material and stay on them and in their view, so to speak. At some point, you might get lucky, but that's where the real money is in terms of writing, sync licensing, and getting your publishing working for you.
Yeah. I think that's a super smart road for people to look down right now, having this,
Yeah.
time, if it's not something that they're into already, because you can make a good living doing those things. Uh, my partner in the band, Mark Fulton, he's a great person to talk to about this. He's been in that business, for a long time, and has done extremely well. And I'll have to get him to come on and talk about that at some point. But
Oh
you're
yeah, I love
totally
him. He's
right.
funny.
Yeah. Yes.
He kills me, and he's a great guitar player.
Yes, he is. Yep. A
But
great songwriter too. He
oh,
has
see,
some,
that's the part I don't know about. So I'd love to experience that. But
yeah.
I can see you guys put out a video recently that's amazing. I love
Thank
the
you.
production on it, and everyone is on fire and doing what they do well, and the
Hmm.
horns sound incredible. But see, these are all people I know. That's what makes it even more special for me because I've worked with some of them, and to see them in their element doing what they do, it's really, really wonderful. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. We have a great community here in San Diego. I love living here, and I really love this time just to be able to, reconnect with people, especially doing this show.
Mhm.
That's been a lot of fun. I get to catch up with people I haven't seen in a long time, or that I really haven't even met in person. And speaking of which, I just want to give a shout out to everybody that's joining us out there. We got Chuck Phillips out there. Speaking of great saxophone players. Yeah, Chuck. Hey.
That's my boy, Chuck. Is a great guy.
Yeah. And I mentioned Darrell Anthony earlier. John Green is with us.
Awesome.
Uh, Carolyn Wilson Spence.
Oh yeah. Oh, let me tell you a quick story about her.
All right.
Now,
Kelly.
this is a woman. Now, that's my mom's best friend. My
Oh,
mom died in 2006, but
oh,
was no wait 2000. God, I don't even remember. I guess it was 2006. But Carolyn, she was one of those mothers on the block that all the kids gravitated to her house. And it was one of those weird things where on any given day you'd see this one, that one, this one. What are you doing here? Oh, I'm just hanging out. I'm just hanging out.
eating your food.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Eating her out of house and home.
Yes.
But we had a special connection because her eldest son, was my best friend back then,
Mm,
and he was a trombone player, and we were in the high school marching band together. So we'd go home and at his house and practice and whatever and play. And she would be right there the whole time, and encouraging us and listening. But then when she heard me sing, she's like, "Oh my goodness!" And so she would just sit there and just put on her records, the Teddy Pendergrass and this thing and that thing, whatever it was, and she would just let me have her living room and just it was my stage. She was a very critical part of the early days of me getting into this whole music thing.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you to you, Carolyn. Thanks for supporting Darryl like that. We're lucky for it nowadays. Yeah. We also got Lisa Gradillas out there. Rosa Almazan Reyes is here.
All right.
Valerie Barris and Susan Cook Woods and Colleen Elliott. Thank you all so much for joining us and watching tonight. So, speaking of networking in the music business, you obviously are a great networker because you yourself met a beautiful saxophone player and are now a newlywed. So, you've got to have some great networking skills. How is that going? And congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. It's going very well. All of my friends are telling me, from the time I started dating Leilani till the time we actually wed, they've been telling me they've never seen me happier than they have. And they would know because I went through a 10-year period of what I call pretty much hell. There were good times, but it was really very tenuous and arduous and difficult most of the time. Sometimes personalities just don't, they weren't meant to be paired like that, There's enough difference where it just would never work. But, I tried, and then I realized, okay, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. So let me just step out of that. And then this wonderful creature comes into my life, and she goes, whenever I tell her I love her, she says, "Why?" And I said, "Well, go down the laundry list." You're an incredible mother, because she's got all her kids are in their 20s. Alexa, 24, who's doing her thing in the kinesiology world. She got her own degree in that. And then Dominic, the second in line, he's 22. He's about to graduate from San Diego State. And then Gino, the one I was telling you about earlier, who's a musician that plays trumpet, flugelhorn, upright bass, 5-string electric bass. He's incredible.
Wow.
But he's also holding a 4.3 in UCSD's electrical engineering program.
Wow.
So being a former aerospace person, I'm really helping, as far as giving encouragement in that field as well, because I want him to go as far as he can with not only the music thing, but the electrical engineering, because the whole world is his oyster, and with a great point average like that in his second year, there's nothing he won't be able to do.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah, that's great.
But she's raised these incredible kids. She's very thoughtful. She's an incredible chiropractor and a weight loss professional, and she's got her, her processes. These different. She's into the things she's into and does them very well. So I have a lot of respect for her. I said, "That's why I love you." And I said, "Primarily because of the way you treat me." I said, "That is the single biggest reason." There's a level of communication and respect between us that allows us to cover any topic. We don't yell at each other. We respectfully speak to one another, and we just generally like being around one another. It's like, when people say I married my best friend, it's true in this case, because I feel weird when I'm away for too long. It's like, God, I miss her, She makes me laugh. She understands my quirks. She gets me. When I'm around other people that don't, it feels like, damn, wish she was here.
Yeah. Oh God.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, totally. Oh, shout out to Leilani. That's amazing. And I'm so happy for you. And she's pretty too.
The girl,
so that doesn't hurt. Come on.
Yeah. Aside from that too, she's a great musician. I have to say, and I'm saying this as a person that's been in this industry since 1987 professionally. She is the best sight reader I've ever worked with.
Wow, really?
She kicks my ass. I'm telling you. I'm like, man, I can't even compete with you. You just tell me what it is. I'll play it.
Nice.
No, she's really good at that. And you know how some people are so humble to a fault. Sometimes she's like that. She can be self-deprecating. No, I mean, I'm not telling you to be arrogant, but damn, celebrate you're bad. She sat in with Ira Liss's band just as a sub for someone who couldn't be there. She went in there and she had only one day to prepare and she sat in there and played their whole show.
Wow, that's
Like,
awesome.
and she doesn't work as a saxophone player 365 days a year. You know,
Yeah.
she's the doctor. She's out there doing her thing with the weight loss and the chiropractic thing. And to see her do that, because I went in and I observed and I met Ira Liss. She's a very towering figure. But I was completely blown away by how she just sat in there and just did that.
Yeah.
You know?
Disciplined human being.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, that's incredible. You know, and I think I can speak to this too because my husband is a guitar player, and when you have someone in your life who understands uh the musician life and the we're weird people, we're strange people to get along with, you know, and there's a lot of strange things that you have to put up with in this industry, just the kind of hours you keep, the places you go, the people you're with.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with, and when you can be with somebody who understands those things and can support them, and you know, not get caught up in uh I don't know,
Jealous.
misunderstanding, jealousy, and just you know, the weird little caveats of it. It can make your life and your relationship so much easier.
Oh
And
man,
then
I have that for sure. I'm so
yes.
happy to have that in her. You know,
Mm-hmm.
she more than ticks off the boxes in what I would like for a perfect mate or partner. She exceeds all of that stuff. So it's like, this is easy.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else before was work, but this is not. It really isn't.
Yeah.
So I'm
Oh,
very blessed.
yes. I'm so
If we could
happy
just
for
get through
you.
this escrow crap and not be
Ah,
stressed out, I'll be happy.
yeah, you're about to be a new homeowner and you're coming to my hood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-oh, everybody watch out.
Oh man,
The
this
Tuckers and the Walkers are gonna
that's
be
it. You're gonna
going
raise hell in that
crazy.
town.
Oh my gosh. You've had a lot going on in the past year, and I'm thankful to be sitting here with you now because you had a very serious motorcycle accident that you've just recovered from.
I did. I'm still in recovery.
Yeah.
Going to PT, physical therapy twice a week at the VA in La Jolla.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they're doing great work with me. It's hard. It hurts like hell, but it's the reason why I can use my arm. You know, they're doing great stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
28 attachments and a steel plate later. They basically the short story is she and I were riding in the Borrego Springs area, somewhere around there, Ocotillo or wherever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those days where we just wanted to get out, you know, and go. And we do this every now and then and experience the bike thing. So we're on this road, no one else around, I mean, for miles. And she takes a left turn. I follow her to the left turn, but I'm on an outside track so that she can see me in her right rearview mirror. And I hit a patch of what I can only guess was loose asphalt.
Mm-hmm.
So in my lean in the turn, moving about 40 miles an hour, the bike just is gone. And I find myself traveling like, you know, Mr. Incredible or whatever the hell, Superman or somebody, flying through the air 40 miles an hour. And then I hit the ground. Thank goodness for protective equipment, you know, like the helmet and the body armor, jacket and all that stuff and the gloves. But as it turned out, I broke my left humerus in 4 places, 2 spots on the shoulder, underneath where the shoulder connects, and then down this area. So there are 4 complete breaks.
Mm.
And lucky for me, there was no compound fracture where things bust through the skin. It
Mm-hmm.
was just all messed up and being held together by the muscles in here.
Yeah, wow.
Wow, and it resulted in a helicopter transport, the whole bit. You know, that was a bit of a hard pill to swallow. But you know how much it costs to ride in a helicopter
I
like
can
that?
imagine.
$73,000
Ooh.
to go from Borrego Springs area to Kearney Mesa Trauma Center.
Oh man.
That's how much it costs. Like, oh my on.
Oh my gosh.
But all this time later, that happened on April 21st in 9 hours of surgery and, then the recovery, 4 days in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Came home, and as soon as I was able, I started trying to remove it, even though it was difficult. And here we are today. It's August, and I'm able to move around a little. I can't reach higher than this, but at least I can use it. I'm playing my saxophone again, which is really a thrill.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know if I'd ever be able to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just very grateful that I didn't wind up hurt much worse than what happened. I could have had multiple broken limbs. I could have broken my back. It could have been just really bad.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so grateful that you're doing well and that you're, getting better. That I know it could have been. Uh, I mean, it's hard to think about what could have been, but I'm glad that you're doing well.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Are you going to ride again?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
If it had been my fault or I'd done something stupid, then I'd probably be afraid,
Yeah.
But because it was a freak thing that I had no control over, I'm looking forward to buying a new Harley and experiencing that with her again on the weekends. We love going like to Idlewild and staying overnight or whatever, it's a different mode of transportation, and it does provide a certain level of freedom because you can see things that you don't see in a car. You
Mm-hmm.
can experience the wind, you can hear the sounds and see, with unfettered view. It's just nice to do that. It really is. I've ridden for many years. Just I took a break from it because I didn't have a motorcycle for 30 years, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll get another one.
Yeah. That's cool. I know my husband rides, and we've had several Harleys throughout our life. I don't ride, but I ride with him,
Mm-hmm.
and we've always had so much fun doing that. When we had our kids, though, I think we kind of got into that fear zone of like, ugh,
Mm-hmm.
with both of us being on the bike together, I think we just were too fearful of what the possibilities of that were. So, you never know in the future um, what we'll do. But I don't know. And it's another weird thing too when your body is your instrument and your ways of making a living, it's kind of
Yeah.
scary, the thought of what could happen. I remember before, oh, I don't know, it was before one of our gigs or something, but Bobby Cressy, our keyboard player, slammed his finger in his car door and
Oh,
messed his finger up bad. I
that
mean,
hurts. Just hearing that
yeah,
hurts.
yeah. He had to go in and have stitches. It was pretty gnarly, and it took him a while to heal up from that. But I just remember thinking like, geez, we're we're also like fragile in a way.
Exactly.
We're like one step away from uh being in big trouble. I hate to think about things like that, but
Oh,
you need to be careful with yourself.
absolutely. That's why my riding is pretty much restricted to, rural open roads. I don't like being in traffic on a bike. I've done it a few times, and the whole lane splitting thing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, People don't realize. I see people that do it that are pretty dangerous. They just move through too fast.
Yeah.
The whole intention of that, in terms of the law, was to allow for air-cooled bikes not to overheat. So,
Mm-hmm.
and how do you do that? You have to keep air passing over the heads. So you kind of go through. That was the original intent, but you can see what people do now. They kind of like they use it as a traffic avoidance thing,
Yeah.
going through their miles, 40 miles an hour.
Oh
I
my
don't know.
God. That scares me to death. I've always trusted my husband. I think he's a really safe, cautious rider. So I've never feared his abilities at all. It's everybody else
Yeah,
around us
you
that
don't
scares
know
me.
from one minute to the next who's going to do something stupid right in front of you that you have no time to react with or correct for. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, scary. Well, be safe, my friend. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on and talking with me tonight. And I'm really looking forward to, when we can work together again. I've
Oh,
had such a
you're
great
amazing.
experience with
Very
you.
talented woman.
Oh,
You're amazing. Your soul is rich and beautiful, and you're a great person. It would be my pleasure.
oh,
Anytime.
thank you so much, Darryl. Where can everybody check out your music?
They could see. I have a website that I am remiss in keeping up to date because of everything going on. But DarrylFWalker.com, DarrylF as in Fitzgerald.com. I have 3 Facebook pages. 2 are professional. One's Darryl F. Walker Music LLC, and the other is my personal page would be Darryl Fitzgerald Walker, and then there's another. You'll find them; they're all together there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a YouTube channel. There's a lot of content on YouTube that other people have put up of various performances. I have some video stuff on my website and in my YouTube channel as well.
Mm-hmm.
I periodically add things, you know.
Yeah. I'm sure you've got a great collection of stuff. I'll be sure to throw up some links in the chat so everybody can check out your stuff and keep up to date with you. And I think once we're back doing stuff live, everybody's got to check out your Jarreau show, because
Oh man,
what I heard was so good.
I can't wait to bring it back. I did it down here once before and people loved it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, well, and thank you to everybody who watched tonight. Also, go to get my new digital course that I mentioned, go to Don't Be That Singer and check it out. Yes. Everybody needs it. It's about professional habits that'll lead you to a profitable and well-respected career. So you've got this time in quarantine, so go ahead and check it out.
Don't Be That Singer.
Yeah, don'tbethatsinger.com.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'll see everybody back here on Thursday with my guest, Allison Adams Tucker. So I guess we will say goodnight and thanks again.
Thank you so much. It was a joy. I really appreciate it.
Likewise. Thank you. Take care.
All right. See you later.
Bye.